Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Sunday recap for the Dream Collective. So remember, this is a space where Lizzie and I give our perspective and feedback, our thoughts, our learned lessons from our previous conversation we had on Sundays. This Sunday conversations happen on Clubhouse every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And this is the recap in regards to normalized anxiety. And for this past Sunday conversation in regards to normalized anxiety, we were joined by Sharet García. She is the founder of Undocumented Professionals on Instagram, where she has created a network of resources with professionals who are undocumented and immigrants, DACA recipients. So go ahead and check out her page and her resources. Get connected with Sharet García and Undocumented Professionals, and we'll get started with this conversation. So, Lizzie, what would you say was the biggest surprise in regards to this conversation this past Sunday for you?
I think the biggest surprise isn't really a surprise anymore, but it's just like a reminder more than a surprise, in the sense of we still don't have services out there or resources for our undocumented community. Even though while having DACA or even without DACA, there are resources out there for the undocumented community, there still is like a lack of resources to get to them, especially just because with the pandemic, there were a lot of celebrities, other individuals, companies that would just say, hey, like with the click of your phone, like you can get somebody like to video chat with, call and have a therapist like on call for you. But unfortunately, it's just the reminder with all of us that we don't have access to that because of finances, location, whatever it may be, insurances. And I think it's not a surprise, but it's just a constant reminder like, hey, let's be reminded that a lot of us don't have these resources still. And those of us that do, we have that privilege to have that therapist or group therapy with other individuals. But what about you? What was something that surprised you, or maybe it was just like a reminder for you?
For me, in a more positive note, although anxiety has been a very negative sort of like aftermath or a cause for us growing up undocumented and DACA, I feel like overall we have used that to our advantage, and we have creative, very positive things out of it, right? So growing up with this type of anxiety, we're always on the go. We have lived through survival mode for the past 8 years for me, while being with DACA, and then even longer when I arrived into the United States as a 10-year-old boy. So we've been on this survival mode for a while, and I feel like although it has been very tough and at times very scary, we have forged really helpful tools like resilience. Like, we're not easily bothered anymore. We bounce back, thanks to us now acknowledging that anxiety is a problem, but then also having learned how to, face the challenge and then not be so affected by it. And I think that has come with time, and it was just very surprising and also very amazing to see how people have something positive to distill from their anxiety and their experience living with that kind of pressure. And for me, it was resilience. Was there something new that you learned with this conversation?
For me, something that I learned, and it's really new to me, is although I am married, that doesn't take away that my anxiety is just for me. It also kind of goes on to like your partner. And so for me, hearing other people say, hey, yes, I'm also married, or I have my partner, they also are able to kind of check in with us like, hey, your anxiety is too much today. So we need to figure out, or you need to figure out how you can control that anxiety. And just that was just something knew that I learned that it's not only me that has this built up anxiety in those moments where all my stressors, the triggers are in on one day, and that anxiety just flows up and goes on to my husband. And so for me, it was just a reality check of like, okay, he's also telling me this is on you, and it's we need to figure out a way of like coping skills to kind of not push that onto him, if that makes sense. And just hearing from Sharet and other individuals like about their partners, it was like, hey, no, I'm dealing with that too. My partner keeps me in check, like, hey, your anxiety's all over the place today. Let's see what we can do to kind of relax you, or hey, you need to just take a breather, or let me take over like today, for whether it be like cooking or like with the kids, whatever it may be in that situation. So for me, it was just an eye opener. I'm not the only one dealing with this, being undocumented with all this anxiety that builds up on a day-to-day basis, or even just when you have all those triggers that are more personal to you. It's everyone's dealing with this at one point. What about you? Did you learn anything new from anybody's story or something about yourself when you were talking?
Yeah, I think the thing that I learned is that ultimately this taking care of anxiety and acknowledging that is an issue is very personal. Like there's some people that have barely started on that, journey. There were some people that have already been taking therapy and they're being very proactive, and this is something that they work on every day. Um, and so what I learned is just that, it's very personal, that people are gonna start when they're ready. And I hope that this conversation kind of hopefully was the catalyst for someone else to take that step, that it inspire other people that taking care of your anxiety is important. And we share some of the resources, and then that it inspires someone to know that therapy it's okay, it's a thing, like it's a new thing for our community, but it is very helpful. It is a resource. And then hopefully through these conversations we get acquainted with other people that can share more resources, and we can all start to grow and heal together. I think that's the ultimate goal. So was there something that was very powerful for you, like your biggest takeaway from this conversation?
So for me, my biggest takeaway is pretty much what you just said, how it's like we're all healing together. And there were a lot of audience members that day that said, although I don't have the access for therapy right now or group therapies, this club, this room that we're doing is therapeutic for them. Now it won't change everything, but it gives some hope. It gives some new lessons, or they can learn from other people's experiences as we talk about it. A lot of us were talking about what our coping skills are with having anxiety. So people learn from others, especially when we're talking about our stories, when we were talking about what our coping skills are, whether it be like walking, running, exercising, taking a deep breath, or even just reading a book. And I think that was the biggest takeaway, is that although some of us don't have these resources just yet, it's just knowing that there is a room or someone to talk to on the weekend or random days, or even having that friend, as long as you're able to vent and validate each other. I think that's really important. That's the biggest takeaway. We're here healing with each other, with all of our stories, and learning from one another. What about you? What was your biggest takeaway from this conversation?
Yeah, I think it's just interesting that and a lot of people have expressed it this way, but this Sunday room has become sort of like a group therapy session for all of us. For me, my biggest takeaway is just that we are collectively learning from each other's experiences, but that there is not a fix-all approach to this. Like you really have to get to know your pain points to heal from those experiences that you've grown up because our experiences are like vast and different, but there are some similarities. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that what works for you works for me. And so we have to tailor our approach to dealing with mental health in general. But yeah, I mean, it's all about self-awareness. There's not a fix-all approach to this. You just have to know that at the end of the day, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to take some time off and to slow down and to question yourself and to have those conversations and get reconnected with your humanity. So that's my biggest takeaway. Like, this is it's gonna take like work. It's gonna be baby steps. But if you've already decided to work on your anxiety and to acknowledge it, then you're on the right path. So that's my biggest takeaway. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I don't think I have anything else to add because we did have a conversation earlier a few months back about what mental health is, and I think just pinpointing to anxiety, it's something we're still all working on, like you said. Nothing works for everybody. If reading a book works for me, it may not work for you, but just sharing that, like you said, it's group therapy. We're all learning from each other. But yeah, with all that said, it was such a great room to just talk about anxiety, where we're all at, and then sharing our experiences, and even just some people asking what your coping skill is and if it works for you, or even just saying, hey, I'll try that next time, right? But with that being said, I hope everyone has learned something from our room about anxiety with Sharet. And remember just to go ahead and follow us both on Clubhouse on Instagram, as well as follow us on our new club called Dream Collective on Clubhouse, and follow us there individually. That way you can know when we're starting a room, having a happy hour, and more. And go ahead and just remember to like, comment, and subscribe on this YouTube channel.
Yes, do all of that and stay connected. We'd like to hear from you guys. So thank you for listening, for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.